You know, one of the hardest things I've had to do to forgive myself for being a people pleaser as many years as I was is knowing that I caused myself to be in $63,000 student loan debt. Um, it's something I struggle with, but I've also come to terms with. But it's one of the biggest lessons I've ever learned. And no hate towards anybody who who influenced me to be a teacher, because it wasn't. I never spoke up for myself. I've said this over and over again. And as my friends and family, especially one friend who really tried to encourage me to be, you would be a great teacher. And I love children, and I have this. I'm not bragging, but children are just. They're. I don't say attractive because it doesn't sound right. They just. I get along with children and dogs better than I do adults. Let's just put it that way. Um, it's easier for me, and they're so much fun, and there's so much to watch them absorb the world around them and learn. Um, so I figured they know me more than I know me, and I literally was in this state of mind. They know what's better for me than I do. I don't, I'm too stupid. I'm too dumb. I'm not as smart as I am. I literally had this. This was free thinking. This was just. I know it sounds so weird to say now, especially because even I see it as, oh wow, that's pathetic. But at the time, when I wasn't recognizing it and wasn't open, my mind wasn't open to realizing that I could have my own thinking, that it was okay. But I also grew up, at least in my area or in a time, I grew up in the 80s, and I was a Gen Xer. So we were the brats. We were the ones that started pushing the boundaries. Um, thank goodness we didn't have the internet back then or cell phones. But um, the one thing that I'm going to say is not positive is, I don't know if this is in other countries, but here in America, at least in my experience, we have this thing or set mindset that the only way you are a good citizen these days is you have to work 80 hours a week. And of course, you're supposed to hate your job. If Joe and Samantha and Kelly and everybody else hates their job and they're doing it, you can too. It's so sad to see how we try to clump each other, and we still are doing it really bad lately too. We clump everybody into one group. If you are it's like you're supposed to be like everybody else. You're supposed to be, and it's so sad to me because it's almost like they want you to lose your individual identity. And that's the way it was when I was growing up. Do things, don't embarrass, don't, my mom, she was such a people pleaser too, but we were always taught, don't do things to embarrass others, even though inside my house at times was chaos. Um, but you don't go outside of the house and talk about it. You don't. You just didn't. It was a no-no. Um, Something you did not do. Uh, and that was drilled in your head. And of course, you're supposed to work 80 hours a week at your job, or 48. You're supposed to hate your job. That's just the way it is. That's just the American way. And I never agreed with it, but never stood up and said, no, that's not right. Um, and now I see it even worse with one thing that I think that a lot of us older people are struggling with, and I will say older people like me, I'm not struggling with it, but some people have that now, they have a different mindset. They're still stuck in the whole, if you do anything that makes yourself happy, you're selfish type thing, which I think is ridiculous. I'm a firm believer that if you're a happy person, you're going to be more productive in this world, be better for the world, this country, this whatever. And I'm getting off on a tangent and I'm losing my train of thought. But anyway, I think one of the things that we struggle with as older adults is the mindset that defining what a job is. I have seen a lot of trash talk, and it's sad to me when in comments on like YouTube videos with creators or on social media like TikTok, Instagram, all that actually make money and say, get a real job. This is not a real job. We have to understand that life changes, and as technology develops, more technology is developed, the jobs are going to happen, newer jobs, different type of jobs are going to happen. COVID is a big thing about it. COVID brought on a lot of these remote jobs. I don't understand why people don't consider all that stuff jobs. If you pay taxes and you get paid for what you're doing, It's a job. And there were jobs that were created even way back when. Otherwise, we wouldn't be driving in cars. We wouldn't be, um, well, we wouldn't even be talking here. But things progress. As we learn new things, new jobs are created. And I think it's dangerous to get stuck in old way thinking to a certain degree. Um, I just hate seeing people do things they don't love to do, don't want to do. I know that sometimes we don't have a choice. I'm well aware of that. But I don't think it should be a badge of honor. I think it would be sad for somebody who worked in a job for 30 years that they absolutely hated and worked 40 to 80 hours a week, and that's their legacy. I don't think anybody should have that legacy. I think it's sad, and I know that there are, and sometimes you don't have a choice, but that makes me sad. I'm sorry, but it does. I think that it's sad that as American, we have got this idea that somehow makes us a good example to everybody. And I'm not saying working hard is wrong or bad. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that no one should ever give up a dream because somebody else says that's not a real job or that's not what you should be doing. That's not what's expected of you. I am so angry that I missed out on so much of my life because I did not allow myself to dream. I didn't allow myself to say, what is it that you want to do? Because every time I'd have that kind of thought, I would shove it down deep inside and say, stop being selfish. This is not about just you. And now I am so mad and angry at myself for allowing myself to do that because it's like, if everybody gets to do things that they love doing, their job, love doing it, they love going to it, they're happier. And when you're happier, you're nicer, in my opinion. I don't think you can be a truly happy, content person and then be someone who wants to beat everybody up all the time or talk trash on the internet. It just doesn't go together, it just doesn't fit. It's like pushing what they call a circle into a square peg or whatever. You can't, it just doesn't work that way. And I honestly think that I'm so glad I woke up to it but I had to learn a $63,000 in debt lesson that I will most likely have for the rest of my life. And I've come to terms with it. If it gets paid off, if somehow something happens and it gets paid off, I will be absolutely grateful and happy and I will love it. That means that I'm succeeding at life. But I'm also okay. I don't want to say that because I think what you put out in the universe can come back, and I will talk about that in another video. But so I have to be careful how I say it. But I will not fall to pieces if I know I'm probably going to die with a debt, and I've just accepted it. That is the consequences of my choices, and my choice was to keep silent, not stand up for myself, and not have a voice. And now that I have a voice, I wish I had the voice. I don't know how to forgive myself for that because there's nothing I can do about it. It's done. The only thing I can do now is move forward. But I hope if you're watching this and you're young, that you will listen to my words a little bit and know that no one's opinion is more important than yours about yourself. So I hope that you don't make some of the same choices bad and just not make any choices at all. I hope that you stand up for yourself, listen to your gut, because let me tell you right now at 53 years old, I'm struggling to know what my gut is saying, if it's right or if it's wrong. I don't trust it because I've never had to do it. And sometimes we have to go out of our comfort zone to find who we are. And I never went out of my comfort zone because I didn't have to. I had everybody else thinking for me. And I accepted that because that's what society expects from you. You're supposed to, that makes you a good citizen. It's almost like they want you to lose your self-identity and become almost like a sheep to be considered a good human being or good citizen. And that to me is so backwards. What makes you a good citizen is by sometimes you have to put yourself first, because you are not going to be a good citizen if you are miserable in not living life authentically. So I hope that made sense. A little bit about my story of people pleasing. One of my biggest ones is going to college when I knew I didn't want to go for what I went for. Okay. Everybody have a wonderful weekend. Happy Valentine's Day. We don't really celebrate it, never really have. It's just one of those things that we don't do. If you do, have fun, be safe, enjoy, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.